Over the years, comic book movie fans have not looked back at the Joel Schumacher Batman films fondly, and in all honesty, these films have been kicked to death. Now, I'm not here to beat an already dead horse. I'm sure you've heard a million times about how much these films suck and how it almost killed the series, so on and so on. I haven't actually rewatched the Schumacher films in a long time, and I loved these movies as a kid, so I thought it'd be fun to take a look back at the Schumacher films and see how I view them as an adult. Firstly though, I want to give a quick history on the Batman franchise and a little explanation on why we ended up getting the films that we did. So, if you cast your minds back to the year 1989 and the release of the first Batman film directed by Tim Burton starring Michael Keaton as Batman. Now, the first Batman film was an absolutely tremendous piece of business for Warner Brothers, raking in a massive $411 million at the box office, and also making a staggering $500 million in merchandise sales, which meant when it came to marketing the sequel Batman Returns, $100 million was spent on the marketing campaign. The companies involved included Choice Hotels, Diet Coke, and of course, McDonald's. It's pretty well documented what went down between McDonald's and Warner Brothers, but for anyone who doesn't know, the two companies received massive backlash over the marketing campaign that they ran for Batman Returns, and in all honesty, I can see why. The toys that came with the McDonald's Happy Meal don't really represent the characters seen in the film, and as a result of this, parents took their kids to see a film that was almost certainly not for them.
Some parents contend that Batman Returns, which is rated PG-13, is actually being marketed for younger children, and the movie is just too violent.
Batman Returns suffered as a result of this, making $282 million at the box office, forcing Warner Brothers to switch gears. It became very clear that if Warner Brothers wanted to keep collecting those sweet merchandising checks, that they'd have to cater to a more family-friendly audience, and that's where the story of the Schumacher films begins. Now, what I will say about these films is Schumacher made the exact movies that he wanted to make. Although Warner Brothers used them to sell toys, I do genuinely believe that he's happy with what he made. Which brings us to the main point of this video. How well does Batman Forever and Batman and Robin hold up in 2020? Just a quick side note there, guys, we're going to jump around quite a bit. I don't want to spend too much time talking about things that may seem quite insignificant, so I want to make sure that I hit the big points of each movie, so if it feels like we're jumping around, that's the reason why. Anyways, let's get into it. I really enjoyed the first minute of this film. It was doing a really good job of making Batman feel epic. You know, he's picking up his weapons, he's walking towards the Batmobile, and then this.
Can I persuade you to take a sandwich with you, sir?
I'll get drive-through.
You get a real feel for the direction that this movie's heading right off the bat. No pun intended. I mean, what a difference this is to literally watching a baby get launched into a fucking river by its parents. I mean, you can tell straight away that this movie is staying clear of anything that isn't deemed family-friendly. Then we cut to Tommy Lee Jones's Two-Face looking like he's had candle wax poured down half of his face. I mean, I gotta be honest with you guys, I am not a fan of the villain designs in this movie. I mean, one guy looks like melted ice cream and the other guy is wearing pajamas. So anyways, Batman cleans house, and then we come to the most annoying character in any Batman film.
No! It's boiling acid!
And at this point, I'm just like, do you know what? Batman, it's okay. Val, can I call you Val? Just let this guy die. There's going to be absolutely zero consequences on you, Bruce, Val, if you let this guy die. You know, he's just an annoying piece of shit. Just let this one guy die. I mean, I'm sure he's got kids and a family and people who love him back home, but at the end of the day, they'll probably be happy to be rid of him. I mean, this guy, I'm sure, oh, God. Moving on. So anyways, Harvey gets away and Batman almost drowns, and then we come to the scene where we finally get to meet Edward Nygma, played by Jim Carrey. It's great though because this scene gives me a clip that I'm probably going to use for the rest of this video to describe something that I don't like. And it's this guy here. His reaction is me every time these characters say something that makes me cringe, say something that makes me go, ugh. Okay, so this next scene is like Jim Carrey turned up to 11, and it is absolutely crazy. I can imagine like all the serious Batman fans at this time were probably furious that Jim Carrey was cast in this film, because when you get Jim Carrey, you expect a certain type of guy to turn up, and this is the exact person that was expected to turn up for this movie. Absolute insanity. But what strikes me most about this scene is what happens next. This guy starts talking about how he's going to report Jim Carrey's character to the police. Mate, you're strapped to a chair. Realistically, what are you going to do? You're obviously going to die. You're not going anywhere. Idiot. Okay, so I've decided to make a new rule for this video. Anytime I don't like something a character does, I'm just going to outright call them an idiot. Which lines us up perfectly for this next scene, because essentially it's the origin of Robin and the Flying Graysons and all that good stuff. I don't really have a problem with the origin of Robin in this movie, but what I do have a problem with is this. My guy Bruce Wayne is out here just outing himself as Batman. Is this guy for real? I mean, how many people are in the stands with him? How many people know that Bruce Wayne is Batman? Jesus Christ. Okay, this next bit is a little bit nitpicky on my part, but it's funny, so shut up. So after the tragic death of his parents, someone needs to look after Dick Grayson, and it looks like Bruce Wayne is going to adopt him. But this just made me laugh. I believe in 1995, Chris O'Donnell was actually 25 years old, so someone come and please adopt this 25-year-old Robin. Okay, and skipping forward a bit now to, again, another contender for the worst scene in any movie I've ever seen ever in my life, and I'm not over-exaggerating here. It's the laundry scene with Dick Grayson. Bloody hell. I mean, why is this in the movie? Like, what's the point? Are we supposed to see that this is cool and be like, oh, look at the way he puts away his socks? Like, Jesus Christ, why is this in the film? It's so stupid. Okay, so Batman gets a call from Alfred to say that Dick has stolen his car. And what happens next is I basically have to award Dick Grayson with the absolute idiot award, because first of all, he jumps out of the Batmobile, leaves the door wide open, then walks up to like 50 guys, professes himself to be Batman. I mean, this motherfucker should be shot. Moving on. And then the real Batman shows up with a great entrance, by the way. I'm not going to take that away from him. And then we get the greatest piece of cinema of all time. I don't want to make it seem like I'm being too harsh to the character of Robin in this film. I actually think Chris O'Donnell does a good job with the material he's given. I just think some of the stuff is absolutely idiotic. As previously established, Bruce Wayne in this film is a bit of a moron. But he seriously didn't think that Drew Barrymore's character wasn't up to something. She literally works for Edward Nygma, and the greatest detective, Batman, seriously thought she was just going to show him how to turn the thing off, and that would be it. I mean... Okay, moving on. We're almost there, I think. How long's left? Okay, there's 45 minutes left of this film. Right. Moving on. Okay, and then Batman shows up at Chase Meridian's house, but then she decides that she doesn't actually like Batman anymore because she's fallen in love with Bruce. And then we get one of the greatest smiles I have ever seen in my entire life. I mean, look at that. Beautiful stuff there. Okay, this next bit really pains me to do, but I've got to do it because it's so stupid. Okay, so, with the information that they extracted from Bruce Wayne, Two-Face and the Riddler show up at his house wearing a Halloween mask, and Alfred stupidly opens the door. Alfred, mate, you an idiot. Surely Bruce Wayne / Batman would have told you about the Riddler and Two-Face. Surely you would have seen what they look like. I mean, look at them. They're still wearing their costumes, for Christ's sake, Alfred. You are an idiot, mate. I'm sorry. I mean, we've seen a lot of great scenes so far in this movie. A lot of great moments. A lot of memeable moments, if you will. But this next one truly takes the cake for me. So the Riddler finds out where the Batcave is, and this is his reaction.
Spank me.
Spank me. Spank me. Beautiful stuff there. Beautiful stuff. Moving on. I don't want to show too much of my hand because the video isn't over yet, but this scene here of the Riddler blowing up the Batcave is essentially a visual metaphor for what these movies did to the Batman franchise. There is one scene in this film that made me audibly laugh out loud, and I love it so much, and it's this scene. The thumbs up is fucking amazing to me. I love it so much. And then here we are coming up to the closing moments of this film. They have the final battle. There's nothing too offensive as far as this movie goes. And then we come to this moment. I mean, does it really matter about flipping the coin for this one guy? I mean, the whole premise, your whole character arc throughout this film has been that you want to kill Batman. Just shoot him. He's there for the taking. Do you really need to flip a coin in this one instance? I don't know, man. Okay, so we've come to the end of Batman Forever, and I'm trying to think of the best way I can sum all this up. And the best way I can do it is really in one word, and this stuff just makes me cringe. I can't deal with this film, like it just makes me cringe so bad. And as a kid, you don't see the flaws of a film, but as an adult, when you have to sit here and listen to these characters drone on and look at a guy that looks like half a tub of Ben & Jerry's, it really starts to hit you. So let's move on to arguably a worse film. I say arguably, I mean it's definitely a worse film. So here we are, Batman and Robin, the film that almost killed the series. I'm going to spare you guys the intro, and let's just get into this. So we open here with a similar intro to Batman Forever, which leads me to believe that Joel Schumacher was contractually obligated to put something stupid in the opening of these films. Ugh, God. Gotta be honest with you guys, now that I'm older, I'm not such a big fan of the Batmobile design. I mean, at the time, I probably would have killed to have that as a kid. These films are a great representation of how Warner Brothers viewed Batman at the time. Just a full-on merchandising machine. And to be honest with you guys, I don't really blame them. These movies made so much money. Okay, so what I want to do next is actually praise the look of these films. The set designs are fucking incredible. They look so good, and I know a lot of people might not like them, but for the world that they've built in the two Schumacher films, the sets look absolutely amazing, so I'm not above giving these films credit. Okay, so I know that I just gave these movies credit for the set design, but one thing I definitely will not give them credit for is the character of Mr. Freeze. He is an absolute moron. He's not the biggest moron in this film, because we'll get to that later, but he is a moron. And the reason Mr. Freeze is an idiot is this. Okay, watch this scene. So, Mr. Freeze shoots those guys, they freeze. He looks over to the diamond, shoots the case that the diamond is in, and it breaks. Show me the logic, please. Perhaps that is a bit nitpicky of me to ask my movies to have logic in them, but yeah, I just thought it was a bit stupid. By the logic of this movie that has been set up, that case should freeze. I mean, surely, right? I'm not the only one who thinks this, am I? So Joel Schumacher, why aren't you following the rules to your own movie? This is something you've shown us. But no time to dwell on it for too long, because in comes Batman, with a pretty slick entrance, to be fair. I'm not going to take that away from him. Again, I'm not above praising these films, even though they are massive pieces of garbage. Hey, Robin's got moves. All that laundry he was doing in Batman Forever has clearly paid off. Ah yes, Batman and Robin have ice skates, because of course they do. I mean, that's just a given at this point, isn't it? Okay, so this scene is stupid, admittedly, and it doesn't make sense at all, but these films don't make sense. But as a kid, I loved this scene. The way they just surf back down to Earth on the doors, I love that. Not gonna lie, a bit of nostalgia is in play with that compliment there, but oh well. Bringing it back, guys. I'm bringing back the reaction from Batman Forever. Robin, you're a fucking idiot. Okay, let's fast forward a bit here, because I don't want to stay in the Schumacher universe any longer than I have to. So basically, Bane is created, Poison Ivy dies, Batman and Robin have a little bit of a spat, which is a bit cringy. Poison Ivy comes back to life, kills the Professor, who I don't remember his name, and let's be honest, does it matter? It literally affects this series in absolutely zero ways, and we'll never see him again anyway, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so now we're catching back up with Mr. Freeze, and it's nice to see that he keeps his wife next to the frozen pizzas. He knows how to treat his women. I like that a lot. Okay, let's fast forward a bit here, because I'm about to fall asleep, I'm not gonna lie to you. So we're what's going on? Something about a telescope that Bruce Wayne's installed, and then Poison Ivy shows up. Something about plants. Oh, God. I'm really losing the will to live here, and we're like half an hour in.
Batman and Robin. Militant arm of the warm-blooded oppressors.
Who are you talking to? Okay, so we're at this friggin' Tarzan party that Bruce Wayne was telling us about now. And then a bunch of guys start bidding on women or whatever, and then Poison Ivy shows up dressed like King Kong. Robin, you are an absolute moron. You saw her blow that dust in Batman's face, and you're just going to stand there and let her blow it in your face? You are an absolute idiot. Okay, and then for some reason, Batman and Robin start bidding on Poison Ivy, and then Batman whips out probably one of the most iconic Batman moments, sadly, his Bat credit card, because of course. Right, okay, so a fight breaks out. Mr. Freeze escapes, but then he's caught by Batman and Robin. But Robin's mad at Batman because he's about to make this jump, but then Batman stops him because he doesn't think he's going to be able to make it. And then it turns into some argument about Poison Ivy and about how Batman is always thinking about himself or something. Oh God, I'm just trying to summarize this for you guys because this film is a train wreck and I don't want you guys to have to go through what I'm going through right now. This is how dedicated I am, so thank me later by leaving a like or something, I don't know. Okay, and then there's this whole side plot where Barbara has been sneaking out and stealing one of the bikes, but then Robin catches her, but then she kicks Robin's ass. So it turns out that Barbara's been hanging out with this motorcycle gang and she's racing them for money because she's trying to raise money for Alfred. Coolio's there, it's pretty good, I guess. Mid-race, Barbara almost falls off like this broken bridge, even though they were heading in that direction. Like, so where were they going to go? Were they going to jump it? I don't know. Anyways, Robin saves her and we're still here. Can we just get this over with, please? There's like an hour left. Poison Ivy shows up with Ben and she proposes to Mr. Freeze that they team up. One of the security guards that's guarding Mr. Freeze has one eye, so realistically, mate, I think you're in the wrong business. So anyways, they escape. Batman and Robin receive news that Mr. Freeze is broken out of prison, and they rock up at his base, and then Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy, and Bane show up and a fight breaks out, and Bane kicks the shit out of Batman and Robin. It strikes me at this point that this film plays more like a parody of Batman than an actual serious film that they've tried to make. Bloody hell. And then Batman and Robin start arguing over Poison Ivy for like the second time in this film. And then there is actually a little bit of an interesting twist because Poison Ivy kills Mr. Freeze's wife. So lovely stuff. And then afterwards, obviously Mr. Freeze is heartbroken because his wife's dead, but at least he's still got those frozen pizzas, right? They then talk about their plans for the end of this movie, essentially, and yeah, I think there's like 40 minutes left. We're getting there slowly. After this, Barbara and Alfred share a nice little moment, and he gives her a laptop, which ultimately leads to her becoming Batwoman and finding the Batcave and helping out Batman and Robin later on in the story. But before that, we come to probably the most iconic scene from this movie, definitely one of them, and it's always brought up when people discuss this film, and it's this scene here.
I hate to disappoint you, but rubber lips are immune to your charms.
Jeez, I can really see why George Clooney hates this film.
But, you know, I thought at the time this was going to be a very good career move. It wasn't.
Then we kick on to the final act where Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy freeze Gotham for like 10 minutes and then it's unfrozen, and then I bet everybody after that was like, hey, remember that time we were frozen? That was really weird, wasn't it? And when I say everything goes back to normal, I mean everything. In the end, it turns out Alfred's not sick anymore because at the end of this film, Mr. Freeze gives Batman the cure that he's been working on, and yeah, this movie, essentially, it was pointless, and I'm glad that they never made another one. Okay, I suppose I better wrap this up now. I didn't enjoy this, I won't lie to you. These films have not aged well. As kids' movies, I'm sure they're great, and when you're a kid and you don't really think about anything, you'll get a kick out of these movies, but as an adult, like I am, I did not enjoy them, not one bit. I actually think that I've lost brain cells since watching it. I hope you didn't feel like the Batman and Robin side of this was a massive cop-out. I did breeze through it because I watched these films back to back and I didn't want to spend any longer working on this video because I thought that I might jump out of a window. If you enjoyed watching a guy slowly lose his sanity, consider clicking that subscribe button, man. And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'll link those there. Or go watch a better film, I think. Something to really cleanse the palate, I think will be a good choice for me next. Yeah, peace out.